Then take a comfortable open stance. Position the ball back in your stance. Press your hands forward. Now, through practice of touch and feel, you'll be able to gauge how hard to hit the ball.
This is a shot that you'll have a lot of times during the normal course of a round. Don't use your sand wedge. Experiment with 4 and 5 iron and 6 irons. You don't have to use the club that I used. I want you to experiment for your own feel. I chose a 5 iron because I thought I could get the best results with it. You may like to use a 4 or a 6. Remember our goal. Use the amount of loft to get the ball on the ground, to get it running to the hole like a putt. Let me hit one more for you. The long little chip shot. Club face on my target line, ball back in my stance, hands forward, go on through. As you can see, that ball's rolling just as if I putted it. The long chip shot. You may think it's a difficult shot. Come to your short game area at your club like we are here at the Butch Harmon School of Golf. Practice it. Use this technique. You're going to hit good shots. We say it all the time. A better short game, you have more fun when you play. I've been a golf professional for 36 years. It's what I love to do. I love to teach golf, and it doesn't matter to me whether I'm teaching Tiger Woods or a tour player or a beginner or a 15 handicap. It's just the joy of teaching. It's the joy of seeing your students succeed, seeing them improve, seeing them get better, and seeing them have fun. And let's face it, the reason we play golf is to have a good time. And the one thing that I've tried to do, and I learned this from my dad, and my brothers and I have carried this on in our teaching, is we try and create an atmosphere of fun. If you're having fun, you'll learn better. If you learn better, you're going to have more fun when you play, and I think it's a good combination. Here's an interesting scenario. Say your ball rolls through the green, back up against the fringe. You've got a shot that's not far off the green to go to this flag, but you've backed up into this high grass around the green. Let me show you the shot I showed Tiger Woods, the 3-wood. That's right, the 3-wood chip. Why is this a good shot? The lie dictates this situation. My ball's rolled up into this Bermuda grass and I couldn't get my putter on this. If I hit a wedge, I'd have to pick it straight up and drop it down on the ball. My 3-wood has 13 degrees of loft on it. The reason it works good, it's got a nice round sole that sits in behind the ball. There's nothing there to hang up when it comes through the grass. It slides through the grass. The loft of the club gets the ball just up in the air a little bit, lets it roll like a putt. The 3-wood chip, let me show it to you. We're going to have to stand a little closer to the ball, which means we're going to have to be straighter up and down, spine angle-wise, because of the length of the shaft. I'm going to use my putter grip, and I'm going to play the ball fairly back in my stance, my hands just a little ahead. Weight on my left side, stroke back, and stroke through. Let me have it. Hey, the 3-wood chip. It works for Tiger Woods. It works for me. Try it. I know it'll work for you. When we think about our golf swings, it doesn't matter whether you're Tiger Woods or you're the average player, you're always trying to improve yourself. One of the things that's amazing that Tiger Woods done is he blew the world away in 1997 when he won the Masters by a record number of strokes and then decided to change his golf swing. He decided to change his golf swing for longevity and the fact that he knew he needed to swing better to play better for the rest of his career. The same thing happens to those of us who just play golf for recreation and for fun. You can improve your mechanics and improve the way you swing a golf club, the way you hit short game shots, which makes you a better player. Well, we finally got to the putting green. Probably the most individual part of golf there is, because there is no one set way to putt. You've seen many different stances and grips, length of putters, all different kind of ways to putt. And through your experimentation, you're going to find out what works best for you. There are some basic fundamentals we have to follow, and I want to go through those things with you. The first thing is grip pressure. Most people, I think, hold the putter grip too tight. We've talked a lot about touch and feel. The other thing I want you to know is you've got to feel the head of this putter swinging. So many people I see come up here and they putt so stiff-wristed, back and forth like this, it's like they're trying to hit the ball with the handle. We've got to hit the ball with the head of this club. This is a mini swing. So you've got to feel the weight of the putter swinging back and forth. And finally, what I want you to know is there is no set stance. You can stand any way you feel comfortable. And that's the most important thing. You've got to be comfortable to have good feel and good touch. Having said that, let's talk about some of the basic fundamentals that no matter what grip you use, as far as normal, cross-handed, or split grip, you'll follow on every putt. The first thing I want you to get in the habit of doing is don't take your stance and then put your putter behind the ball. I want you to always aim your putter first, then build a stance that you feel comfortable with. Remember, you've got to be comfortable to putt good. A couple basic fundamentals after you've built this stance: aiming your putter, getting comfortable. Check your eye line just by raising your club up. Your eyes should be either right over the ball or just a little inside of the ball. You never want your eye line out over the other side of the ball. We've talked about the light grip pressure. Now let's talk about a stroke. What you want to have is a rhythmic motion, back and through, back and through. The length of the stroke varies with you as an individual, and you only know from practice for your feel whether you need a longer, slower stroke or a shorter stroke that has a little more speed in it. But we want a nice rhythm, back and through. All right, let's hit a putt here. We aim our putter blade. This particular putt's pretty straight. Build a stance I feel comfortable with. Got my eyes pretty much right over the ball. I'm going to keep my head still and stroke back and through. Now that particular putt I didn't hit hard enough, and that's why it didn't go in. When you're practicing, I want you to practice the speed of your stroke as well as the mechanics. I want you to get in the habit of hitting these putts and feeling the putter blade hit right through the ball. The last thing I want to tell you, especially on these short putts, is that you miss most of these little 4, 5, 6 footers because of head movement. If you keep your head still and you've picked the right line, you've pretty much got a good chance to make your short putts. If you get a head movement like I did there, just to show you an example, in other words, my eyes were following that putter blade as it went through, you're not going to make these putts. So let's try and stay still over these putts. Let's aim our putter. Let's get comfortable, stay still, and stroke through. Basic fundamentals for a normal putt.
On the putting green, remember, aim the putter first, then build a comfortable stance. Be sure to check your eye line. Your eyes should be right over or just inside the ball. Use nice light grip pressure. Now, keep your head still and take a nice rhythmic stroke.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a longer putt. I've got about a 40-foot putt here. Now we have a few different things that come into play. The most important thing on a long putt that I want you to realize is the pace that the ball rolls down there. If you hit the ball the right distance every time, you're pretty much going to hit a good putt. So many people get wrapped up in line on their long putts, they forget about the pace of the putt. I've got about a 50-foot putt here. I've got Wayne holding the flag down there because remember, when you putt and your ball's on the green, you can't putt at the flag because if you hit it, it's a penalty. What I have to do in looking at this putt is I have to get a feel for how hard to hit this. The way I do this is when I make a practice stroke, I like to look at the hole, get a feeling for how hard I'm going to hit this putt. The routine, the setup, is just the same as we did on this little 6-footer. I've got to aim my putter blade on the line. This breaks a little left to right. I've got to get comfortable, stay still, and follow through. There's a great example of not having the proper line, but I hit the ball the proper distance, and I've only got about a 2.5-foot putt. Don't get wrapped up in the line. Remember, if I hit this putt the right distance, I've got a good chance to 2-putt. Putting. Basic fundamentals. Light grip pressure. Build a stance that you feel comfortable with. Eyes over the ball. From there, it's all your feel and your touch. And remember, don't grip that putter too tight. Nice light grip pressure. Use these fundamentals, adapt it to your stroke, you're going to make more putts. Hey, guess what? If you're making putts, you're shooting lower scores. You know, we've had great experiences at all levels of golf. We've taken young guys and made them into good players. A perfect example is young Adam Scott, an Australian player, 20 years old, who just recently won on the European Tour, the first event of the year. Adam came to me about a year and a half ago as a sophomore at UNLV. He was a pretty good player, had a swing that looked like Tiger Woods. A year and a half later, he's winning on the European Tour. We have people that come to our golf schools that are 18 handicaps, and they've never shot anything but high 90s and mid 80s, and they'll call us on the phone and they say, hey, I shot 78 today. It's so great. We really appreciate all your help. And I think the other thing that you enjoy so much as a student is the fact that you do improve. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, is everyone going to get better every time they take a lesson? Not necessarily. And the other thing you have to realize is that change is difficult. It takes time. When you make changes in your golf swing, especially someone who's played golf a long time, you're making a mechanical change and a mental change, and it takes a period of time for it to kick in. I think some of the things that I enjoy the most are the letters and the phone messages I get from the real higher handicaps that will say, hey, I got it. I finally did this. I finally did that. And then again, that's the joy of teaching, whether it's teaching golf, whether it's teaching history or religion or science or anything. The joy of teaching is seeing your students improve and hearing the joy in their voice when they do. I know I've given you a lot of information here on a lot of different shots in the short game. If you will practice what we talked about, I know you're going to shoot lower scores because your short game's going to improve. So let's go back in a little bit of a recap and let's talk about some of the things you can do when you're in your backyard or even in your living room watching this tape that'll help you get the feel for the things that I've just taken you through. We talked a lot about ball position for the various shots, whether we move it up or back in our stance. We talked about weight distribution. Some of the shots more weight on the right foot, some of the shots a little more weight on the back foot. We talked about shaft angle, and this is important. We talked about on the little pitch shots and chip shots around the green to keep the shaft on line with the crease in your pants on your left leg, which in turn keeps your hands ahead. We talked about letting both hands go through together. We talked about in bunker shots playing the ball up in our stance. Even without a ball, you can get the habit of letting your club hang where your ball position would be right off your left toe. Talked about hitting a flop shot, grip pressure. A lot looser or lighter grip pressure when you hit the flop shot. You can fool around right there in your living room where you're watching this tape with a club in your hand with a little looser grip pressure or lighter grip pressure and just make little motions. This will give you the feeling and the sensation in your hands that you need when you practice these shots. The important thing through all of this is take from this session what works best for you. You may not need everything we talked about. You may need only one or two of the shots or one or two of the things that I've described here. Take what works for you and experiment. The other thing I want you to know, when you're sitting around in your backyard while you're barbecuing, you've got a wedge in your hand, kind of fool around with little different experiments of how to take the club back. You can let the club face open, swing through. You can let the club face closed and swing through. What this does, it gives you a little feeling for the various type of shots we're talking about. I showed you how to get different trajectories, different lofts on the shots by how you took the club back. All of these things you can do just fooling around, getting a little feel. We talked about feel and touch. Probably the most important thing, even more so than your technique sometimes. You could have the most important technique without nice feel and nice touch, you're not going to be consistent. I know if you'll practice the things we showed you here in this tape, I know your short game's going to improve. And guess what? When your short game improves, you're going to shoot lower scores. And those guys you've been paying in those Nassaus, they're going to pay you. Hope you enjoyed it. Practice it. Put it to use. You're going to shoot lower scores.
In 2001, a Butch Harmon School of Golf opened here at Arlucaya, one of only 2 in the entire world. Like Butch's original school, this one in Las Vegas, It's an incredible place to tune up your game. And with Butch and his trained instructors looking over your shoulders, your scores can't help but go down. You've got to check this out.
Bring your power that you have within your body to the golf course and utilize it. That doesn't mean we can all be Tiger Woods. We would love to be, but if we can't climb in his body, there's no way we can swing like he can. And we don't have 135 miles per hour club speed anyway. What you do have is your own power and your own swing. Through your practice, through watching this tape and the drills I'm going to give you, you'll be able to get power out of your swing that'll allow you to hit the ball as far as you can. The one thing I will tell you as a reference, all of us realize we hit our 8-iron so far, our 5-iron so far, our 4-wood so far. When we get to a driver, we feel like we have unlimited yardage. We can only hit our driver so far and keep it in play. If you can realize that, and that's why you leave your ego in the car in the parking lot, I think you'll drive the ball further and more consistently. Yeah. Let's talk about power. All of us have power in our golf swing. The secret is, how do we use it? Hi, I'm Butch Harmon, and we're here at the Lucayan Golf Course on Grand Bahama Island. And I want to talk to you about getting the maximum power out of your golf swing. It's something that all of us want to hit the ball further, but we don't quite know how to do it, because the harder we swing, the shorter and more offline the ball goes. So I'm going to show you how to get the maximum power out of your golf swing. In other words, how you can hit each and every one of your shots a little further, and especially drive the ball further and drive it accurately. But before we do that, let's talk about what we have in the bag. Let's talk about the weapons we have in our arsenal that allows us to generate the power. First of all, you're only allowed to have 14 clubs when you play golf. So you have to make a few decisions. How many wedges do you carry? How many woods do you carry? What long irons do you carry? Myself, I like to have a nice mixture. I like to carry a utility club, so I don't carry a 2-iron. I do carry 3 wedges because I think it helps me in the scoring area. The next thing you want to talk about is your driver. How do I get the power out of my driver? Well, in this day and age, there's so many different shafts, so many different manufacturers make different type of heads. This is where you have to test different equipment to find out what's best for you. If you're like me, you lie awake at night and you can't sleep, you may turn on the Golf Channel and see an ad for some driver that goes 2 yards further. We got to have it because we need to hit the ball 2 yards further. What I want to show you how to do is make a good golf swing that'll help you get the maximum power out of your game. We'd all like to be Tiger Woods or Davis Love or Ernie Els and hit the ball those unbelievable distances, but we don't have their bodies. To do that, we'd have to climb into their body. What I want to show you is how you can get the maximum out of your ability. So let's get started. Let's hit some shots. Let's talk about power. I think the players of the past that I look back at, that number one, I think are great, fantastic, that have inspired me and helped me in my beliefs on the golf swing and stuff, it would have to start all the way back to Bobby Jones. I mean, he was a gentleman, he was a great player, he was a stylist, he was a traditionalist. Moving into more of the modern times, Ben Hogan, Sam Snead, Byron Nelson were fantastic. I mean, they were just the legends of our game. Would they be great players today? Of course they would. In my era, Arnold Palmer was my hero. I grew up as a kid trying to copy Arnold Palmer, pitching up my pants, waggling the club like Arnold did. It was just, he was my hero as I grew up. As I got older and went on the tour, Lee Trevino was someone that I thought was one of the greatest ball strikers I've ever seen. I still say that Ben Hogan and Lee Trevino could hit the ball better than anyone I've ever seen in my life. They were phenomenal. Tiger Woods is getting into that category, but he still has a long ways to go. They were unreal. The Tom Watsons of the world, the Tom Weiskopfs, and then Jack Nicklaus, of course, the greatest golfer the game's ever seen. I've been so fortunate to have lived in a time where I've actually seen all of these people play. I mean, I was old enough to remember watching Hogan and Nelson and Snead and Demerit, and Burke, Suchak, and all the fellas that really swung a golf club with some style and some character. So for myself, I think I've been alive in a period that other than Mr. Jones, I've only seen him on tape. I never had the opportunity in real life to see him, but I've been alive to see all these great players play. And now on top of that, to have a tremendous athlete and golfer like Tiger Woods come along, and then to have been so close to him and been a part of his success, I think is something I can't even put into words. I mean, I think we're all lucky to be here and watch Tiger Woods play golf. I mean, this man, what he is doing is phenomenal. And for me, it's just a continuation of how lucky I've been in life, being involved in the game of golf, to watch the legends of the game as they went from pass the torch from one to another, and I've been here to see it. And now to be a little part of it is just fascinating. Power. Let's talk about the ultimate power. Let's talk about hitting this driver and what you can do to get the maximum power out of your golf swing. What I want to do is I want to go through some basic fundamentals that take place before you hit this ball that'll help you get the maximum power that you can possibly get. Remember, we're trying to get the maximum power for you. We'd love to be Ernie Els or Tiger Woods or Davis Love, but we're not. We've got to get the most out of our game. Some of the important things that are going to happen to allow you to hit this ball further take place before you hit it. Let's talk about those things. What I like to have you do is think of a railroad track. The outer track being your target line, the inner track being your body line. You don't want to come in and aim your body at your target line, because for us right-handed golfers, that means we're aimed way out to the right. So it's important to use the railroad track for your alignment. So what you want to do is aim your club face on your target line, then your stance will be parallel left of that. This gives you the feeling of standing on a railroad track. The next thing I want to talk to you about, and this is a question I'm probably asked the most in my golf schools, is there a way I know how near or far to stand from the golf ball? Is it so many inches from my belt buckle, so many fingers? I'm going to show you a drill that if you'll use this drill, it works with every club. All you have to do is take your setup that you feel comfortable with and let your lower hand come off the club. It should be right across from where you gripped it. In other words, just let it come across this way. It hangs, you put it back, you're the right distance from the ball. The most common fault we see in male golfers is they tend to stand too far away from the ball because it's a feeling of power. Unfortunately, it gets them so bent over that when they swing, gravity wants to pull you towards the ground. You end up standing up, coming into it, normally hitting a weak slice. If you would use this drill from too far away, you can see that your right hand would be back here by your left. It's a great drill to get your distance from the ball. It works with every club. Now let's talk about what I have to do in this golf swing to generate power. Two terms that you've heard talked about a lot lately are width of the swing and rotation of the body on the downswing. Well, let's talk about how to achieve that and the things that you have to watch out for when you're trying to create these positions. First of all, let's talk about width on the takeaway. Width on the takeaway means getting the club as wide as you can going back, which allows you to create a big arc in your swing, which allows you to generate more power back to the ball. One thing you have to be careful of when you're doing this, if you try and generate so much width that you slide to the right, your club gets so wide at the top, there's only one place you can go from here, and that's in. You don't want to get this position, because if you're wide here and narrow here, you'll be in your own way on the way down. So one of the things I want you to guard against when you're trying to get width is don't feel like you have to get so wide it pulls you outside of your right leg. Let me show you what width should be. By obtaining width, you have to have a little wrist hinge on the backswing this way. We want to create the width of the butt of the club a long way from our body, but we want the shaft angle more in this position versus this position. The reason why, if I can create this position by turning, I just come to the top, my hands stay wider from my head, gives me much more room on the downswing to deliver this club squarely and strongly into the back of this ball. Let's talk about that again. To get width, put a little wrist cock off the ball this way. Feel like your arms are away from your body. to the top of your swing. Your right hand gets as far away from your head as you can get it. This allows you to have a big arc, allows you to get your arms in front of your body coming down, deliver the club squarely and strongly to the ball. That's the width and the backswing. The other thing I want you to remember is that your weight will naturally go in the direction the club head's going. So when your club starts away from this ball, your weight naturally goes to the inside part of your right leg. When we deliver the club back to the ball, we go through to our left leg. And this is where the other segment comes in, rotation of the body. You have to be careful when you're trying to create rotation in your golf swing that when you get to the top of your swing, you just don't spin your hips out of the way and let your weight stay back. Remember, this downswing has got to start from the ground up. From the top of the swing, it's weight transfer back to the left, then the left knee and the left hip unwind. The arms stay in front of the body, delivering the club squarely to the ball, finishing all the way through, weight totally on the left side, totally squarely to your target. This helps you generate the most power you can. We all have different flexibility. As a senior golfer, I can't make the big turn like I used to when I was younger, but if I can create as much width as I can on my backswing properly and unwind into it, I'll get the longest, straightest shots I can hit. Let me hit this driver for you and see what we got. This is the 14th hole at Lucayan Golf Club, 383 yards, slight dogleg to the right. Let's see if I can hit you a good drive out there. Good setup, thinking of the railroad track effect. Put good width in the backswing and follow through. Wow, that's pretty good for me.
With a driver in your hands, use the railroad track drill for alignment and the hand drop drill for distance from the ball. Take the club back in a wide arc with a slight wrist hinge. Then transfer your weight forward, unwind your front knee and hip, keep your arms in front of your body, and follow through.
Power. Use these things, you're going to hit it straighter and further. Tiger Woods has inspired me in many ways. Number one, his work ethic is unlike anyone I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anyone work as hard as he does at what he does. It doesn't matter how good he gets, he works harder because he wants to get better. I think that's the thing that I've enjoyed the most about Tiger Woods. You know, normally when someone in any business, whether it's an athlete, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist, achieves the greatest in the world at what they do, a lot of times they tend to get a know-it-all complex. Tiger Woods is a complete opposite of that. He's a sponge. He just soaks up information. He has this burning desire to learn new shots, to improve his technique, to get better. And I think that's one of the